Hello everyone, my name is X, also known as Zerathos, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered what kind of Pokemon you would use as a trainer and or gym leader? Would you use different types, or would you use a singular type? Well, I've had that question myself for quite some time, always wondering which type I would actually use in the regions versus my in-game counterpart. Now, over the years, I've had several different teams of varying Pokemon with various types. But I've always wondered what it would be like to focus on a select type of Pokemon that I don't use that often, as most games have a rather small amount of this select type, or very few. The type I'm referring to is the Ghost type. With that being said, prepare to join me on this trip as I show you my top Pokemon choices for my Ghost type team. Yes, you heard that right. I have decided to start with Ghost types as my first team. Now, I would like to specify that I will be sticking with the theme of Ghost types as in not singular typing. There will be dual types in this, as it's mostly used for coverage purposes, as well as to give a little bit of variety and a little bit of advantage, depending on whether I'm just a trainer, gym leader, or maybe an Elite Four member. Before we get into what Pokemon are going to be a part of my team, I would like to put a few rules into place. Rule number 1 is that there are no legendaries, mythical Pokemon, or Ultra Beasts allowed on these teams. This rule is for a sense of fairness, as gym leaders and Elite Four members do not use these Pokemon. Now, technically, as a trainer, I could use one or all three types of these Pokemon, but I want to keep it as realistic as possible and as fair as possible, especially since both gym leaders and Elite Four members are supposed to be beaten in order to challenge the champion. Rule number 2 is that all Pokemon of the selected type are allowed, with rule number 1 in mind, of course. This means that I have access to every region and regional form if the Pokemon has one. This gives the team more flexibility and variety when it comes to both type matchups and coverage moves. And lastly, rule number 3, I will have to have different teams based on what level of Pokemon trainer, gym leader, or Elite Four member that I am. Meaning that as a trainer, all Pokemon will be allowed of the selected type, being sure to follow rule number 1. As a gym leader, my team will consist of 3 2-6 Pokemon with previous evolutions as necessary. And as an Elite Four member, my team will be the strongest it can be with the Pokemon of my choosing. With that being said, let's get into what my Ghost type team would be. So starting off with the first member of my team, I have chosen Sableye. Sableye is a dark Ghost type with a base stat total of 380. While Sableye's base stat total is not much to look at in terms of sheer power, the main reason for picking Sableye was for the variety of different moves that are available for it, with learning moves such as Shadow Ball and Foul Play by Level Up, as well as learning stat boosting moves such as Calm Mind and Nasty Plot by TM. Sableye can also learn both Reflect and Light Screen via TM, making its role on this team as a setup mod. Having Light Screen and Reflect up during the battles will give my Pokemon a good advantage in both defense and special defense, as Ghost-type Pokemon are usually pretty frail defensively. With Sableye being the first member to join my team, let's see who's going to be our second Pokemon on this list. For our second member of the team, I have chosen Trevenant. Trevenant is the final evolution of the Phantom line, with the Grass Ghost typing and a base stat total of 474. The main purpose for Trevenant being on this team is to utilize its Grass typing to the best of its ability. Unfortunately, due to its Grass Ghost typing, Trevenant has a total of 5 types that are super effective against it. Those types being Ghost, Dark, Flying, Fire, and Ice. It's because of these 5 type weaknesses that Trevenant ends up being slightly weaker than Sableye, even though its base stat total is almost 100 points higher. However, Trevenant can fight back against these weaknesses due to the fact that it can learn a large variety of coverage moves, such as Sunny Day, Rain Dance, Dig, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, and more by TM. Trevenant has earned his place as the second Pokemon on this team with these facts in mind, shedding some light on a Pokemon I've rarely ever used. Coming in at our third slot for the team is Chandelure. Chandelure is a fire ghost-type Pokemon that starts out as Litwick, evolving into Lampent, and finally into Chandelure with a Dust Stone. Chandelure takes his place as the hard-hitting special attacker with a base stat total of 520 and a massive special attack stat of 145. Pairing that with its defense, special defense, and speed stats, Chandelure can be a powerhouse on the battlefield when properly trained. Speaking of training, Chandelure can learn Stab, or same type attack bonus moves, such as Inferno, Overheat, and Shadow Ball by Level Up, as well as Flamethrower, Calm Mind, and Protect by TM. With Chandelure having access to these moves, it becomes a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Chandelure is always a welcome addition to any team, especially mine. Even though he's not my ace, Chandelure will get plenty of time sweeping teams across the region. Now, as we get into the 3 remaining members of the team, I would like to bring up a couple topics of discussion. But before that, I want to thank you for watching the video so far. and that if you've made it this far into the video, be sure to subscribe. It's completely free, and it would help me with my goal of reaching 100 subscribers before the end of 2025. Also, be sure to tap or click that notification bell, depending on what platform you're on, so that you get notified as to when my videos release. Now, let's get into the topics of discussion. So, a few things I haven't mentioned in regards to my team is a battle gimmick. So far, we have Mega Evolution, Z-Moves, Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing, and Terrestrialization. As stated earlier in the video, regarding Rule 2 of course, I stated that all regions are accessible, as well as the regional forms and Pokemon. However, I have decided that all the battle gimmicks are allowed, but only under certain circumstances. The first circumstance is that I may use these gimmicks in battle as a regular trainer. As in every mainline game, we use them in order to beat other trainers, gym leaders, and the Pokemon League respectively. As an Elite Four member, I will also be allowed to use these gimmicks, but I will be restricting myself to a combination of 3. The combination I have chosen Mega Evolution, Dynamaxing, and or Gigantamaxing if one of my Pokemon can achieve it. And finally, Terrestrialization. I am purposely restricting myself because while the Elite Four are the 5 strongest trainers in the region, they are still required to be beaten in order to challenge the champion. I would not want to become an impassable wall for trainers who want to challenge the league. The same thing goes for my team as a gym leader. However, I will not be able to use any of these gimmicks. Gym leaders are meant to be beaten in order to challenge the Pokemon League, and having Mega Evolution or another gimmick would make the battle very difficult for trainers who have less experience. Now, I know that there are plenty of gym leaders who use these effects and gimmicks within the games, but I want to make my battles fair enough so that it all comes down to just how the Pokemon are trained and how they're used by their respective trainers. So, since I've listed the first 3 Pokemon for my Ghost-type team, I would like to bring up rule number 3 again. It states that I will have to use different teams based on what level of Pokemon trainer, gym leader, or Elite Four member I am. I want to clarify that the teams between each of these 3 positions will be very similar with the exception of my Elite Four team. For the most part, my trainer and gym leader teams will have the same Pokemon. The only difference is that, for example, if I was the first gym leader, I would only have the first 3 Pokemon, being Sableye, Trevenant, and Chandelure, all in the first stage evolutions, so the team would actually be Sableye, Phantom, and Litwick. Now, of course, the further I go as a gym leader, the more everyone's going to be evolving, depending on which badge number I am. As for my Elite Four team, however, 2 changes to the team will be made. Those changes being Sableye for Spiritomb and Chandelure for Skeledirge. Both Spiritomb and Skeledirge have the same typings as their predecessors, however, Spiritomb is much more bulky in terms of defense and special defense, while Skeledirge not only being bulky, but also having the ability to raise its special attack with its signature move, Torch Song, giving me the ability to do damage while also freeing up the turn it takes for me to set up stat boosting moves. Both Spiritomb and Skeledirge will only be used on my Elite Four teams, giving a hefty challenge to those who want to take on the champion. With those few things out of the way, and hopefully cleared up, let's get into the number 4 slot for this team. Dragapult takes its place amongst his fellow Ghost types as the 4th Pokemon. Having the Dragon Ghost type combination makes Dragapult useful in several ways, especially with its very high base stat total of 600, the highest base stats of the team so far. Having an attack stat of 120 and a special attack stat of 100 will make all of its physical and special moves much stronger. Now, of course, we can't forget to mention stab moves, being boosted even further due to its Dragon Ghost type. However, Dragapult takes its place as the fastest Pokemon on this team with an astounding speed stat of 142. That's just 8 points away from both Mega Aerodactyl's and Mega Alakazam's speed stats. With being incredibly fast and having resistances to the more common types thanks to its Dragon typing, Dragapult will use its speed and power to take down my opponents before they can even realize what happened. For our second to last spot on this team, we have Mimikyu. Mimikyu is a fairy ghost type with a base stat total of 476. Now that's definitely on the lower side compared to Dragapult, however, Mimikyu has a few things going for it, the most prominent being the fairy typing. You see, when the fairy type was introduced back in Generation 6, I never really got around to using it, at least until the 4th generation remakes, in which case, those only had a few select choices due to the limited regional decks. However, I gave the fairy typing a better chance when playing the Gen 9 games, and it changed my view quite a bit. Fairy types are only weak to poison and steel, and generally have good defense and special defensive stats. Mimikyu takes advantage of these stats by learning moves such as Draining Kiss and Drain Punch to keep itself in the fight for as long as possible. Having a Pokemon who is able to restore health while knocking down my opponents is a necessity when it comes to a team like this. With that being said, let's get into what my ace is for the team. So the ace for my Ghost-type Pokemon team is none other than Aegislash. Aegislash is a Steel Ghost-type with 2 base stat totals of 500 each. Now, you're probably wondering, 2 base stat totals? You see, the reason for this is because Aegislash has the ability to take on 2 forms during battle. The first form is known as Blade form, and the second form is Shield form. Now, each form has a base stat total of 500, but the difference is that the Blade form focuses its attack and special attack stat of 140 each respectively, while the Shield form switches those stats to defense and special defense, also boasting 140. The second reason why I chose Aegislash as my ace is because it's resistant to 9 types, 9 different Pokemon types, and it's immune to 3 of them. The only types it's weak to is Fire, Ghost, Dark, and Ground. You see, when Generation 6 first came out, and I encountered that Honedge in the tall grass, I immediately knew it was going to be one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. Whether I'm using Ghost types, Steel types, or even multiple different types on my team, if Aegislash is in the game and or region, you can guarantee that it's going to be coming with me. With that being said, here are the final choices for my Ghost-type team. Now, as stated before, the Trainer and Gym Leader teams will be the same, with the exception of previous evolutions on the Gym Leader team, if needed. And as for my Elite Four team, the only changes are the 2 substitutions that were mentioned earlier in the video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed. But be sure to like and subscribe, as it'll help me reach my 100 subscribers goal by the end of 2025. And as we head out, I want to leave you with a question. What Pokemon would you use on your teams? Whether it's Ghost types, Steel types, or any other type in general. Be sure to let me know your answers in the comments below, and I hope you have a fantastic day. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one.